roller coasters, dares, friends, ferries. My favourite place in the whole of Japan, udon noodles, and an elementary school. You're watching Bokensha TV, and this is our Spring Tour 2021. Let's go! Day 1. Our little tour begins on the first day of spring vacation, with USJ Japan being our first stop. We leave our place at 7 and head straight to Osaka in the morning fog. The journey is around a little over 65 kilometers, and taking the Shitamiji, which is anything but the toll highways, takes a little over 2 hours. So we arrive at the hotel around 9. The hotel was just opposite the theme park actually, just 15 minutes away on foot, and considering its location at 6,000 yen, which is around 40 quid, it was fairly decent. So it was too early to check in. We leave our stuff, get changed, and head straight towards USJ with a big fat grin on our face. I felt like a right kid. Theme parks are not really what they once were to me, and the only reason I came here was for the Super Mario attraction. I've been waiting for this. It's been delayed for a year because of the coronavirus, so I was super amped up to get here.
Super Mario?
Only to find out that we couldn't get in. So basically, because of the coronavirus and the restrictions, you had to get a ticket and come back at your allocated time. So our time was 7:30 in the evening. So we enjoyed the park until the sun went down, waiting for our time. At this point I was a little knackered actually. Those bloody Converses, walking around all day on those, it's not used to it. After waiting the whole day, finally Super Mario. The area is designed so you have to enter it via green tunnel, just like you would in the game, in order to transport to another world. I thought that was sick. And you know what? We are really lucky that we went in the dark. I don't think we would have had the same experience if we came during the day. That may be so, but we were still on a time restriction, so we had about an hour to enjoy the area before we left. Luckily we made it onto a ride, and it was enough, in all fairness. I mean, if you were going to come with kids, then I don't think that would be enough. Because they have some sort of system where you can buy a wristband and interact with the world with it, and collect points, etc. But yeah, we didn't do that. Aside from the fact that we didn't have enough time, it also cost additional 3,000 yen, that's 20 quid for that wristband. And that was it. Some 30,000 steps later, back to the hotel we went to call it a night. First day of our motorcycle tour, done. Well, not exactly a motorcycle tour, but it was the first day of our trip. And tomorrow, we'll actually get to see some cherry blossoms. Good night. Coffee, get changed, and out the door we go. We leave the hotel for around 9 and make our way to our second destination for this spring tour, which is Nara. See, it's due to rain in the next few days, so we've scoped out a nice homely accommodation to spend the next few days in. Nara is about 50 kilometers away from where we stayed in USJ, and it takes us just under 2 hours to reach. The ride to Nara is absolutely beautiful. Lots of cherry blossoms on the way, and they seem to be in peak bloom right now. This guest house was a great find, and it was the perfect place to take shelter for the next few days from the rain that was coming. The location and its homely feel was the best thing about it, especially opening the window and the days just roaming freely, chilling there. That was unique. How often do you get that, right? It's quite reasonable as well, 10,000 yen for 2 nights. It's not bad. So it's around about noon now. We get an early check-in, get changed, and then head straight on out. This time only on one bike. We did some googling and came across a road devoted entirely to cherry blossoms. So that's what we did. We put that into Google Maps, hopped on one bike, and off we went. We had to pay for this road as well, which I didn't know about. 500 yen. This road snakes up a mountain, and from the bottom to the very top it's lined with cherry blossom trees, petals of which were gently being blown to the ground, a bit like snowfall. Thought that was really nice. We get to the top, it took a little less than half an hour, and the distance was around 3.5 kilometers, 4 kilometers or something. So after faffing about on the top and enjoying the view, we make our way back down. Food is the only thing that is on the mind right now, so we head over to the nearest supermarket to get some takeout sushi. So with the food sorted, we head over to a nice spot in Nara Park for some sushi, days, cherry blossoms and sunsets. A perfect evening. Spring Tour Day 2. Done. Nicely. Now see, I don't mind a rainy day here and there. As long as I'm not on the bike, that is. I feel like it's an easy excuse to do nothing without any of the guilt that usually comes along with doing nothing. We have our morning coffee and briefly plan our day of doing nothing by the window whilst watching the days roaming freely on the streets beside. It's only the second day here and we've already turned this place into our second home. Well, the doing nothing plan didn't really last very long. Soon we decided to take a walk on exploring the rain after all. I'm glad we do. I can't remember the last time I got out in the rain, or actually held an umbrella for that matter. I've been to Nara a number of times now, but exploring in the rain really did make things appear a little different, and it seemed like a new place altogether for that matter. I make a mental note to get out and explore in the rain a little more often. After our little walk, we head back to the guest house, and on the way back, we come across a quiche shop. Believe it or not, a little random, but yeah, well, we both love quiche, so it was only right we buy a piece. We bought a piece and we took it back to the guest house and shared it over some grape drink by the window. It couldn't have been more perfect. It was finally our time to do nothing. We sat, drank, and talked until the streetlights came on. Oyasumi. So, coming out of hibernation in Nara, we continue our spring tour and make our way to the port city of Wakayama, going south through the heart of Nara prefecture. Wakayama is where we will cross over on a ferry to the island of Shikoku, my favourite place in Japan. A direct journey to Wakayama from Nara Park was a little over 2 hours away, but with a few stops taking us out of our path, the journey would take us most of the day. We took the ride nice and easy, stopping whenever we felt like it. I mentioned a place along the way that is known for this one gigantic cherry blossom tree. It was a little out the way, with not much in the surrounding areas, but we still land there to find it busy with local tourists. We kicked back and found a nice spot to take it easy for a second. It seems like we weren't the only ones doing so. Not long before, we meet a man just chilling there with his can of beer and bento lunch. We get speaking to this guy, and before long he wants to take our picture on his little disposable camera. He then asked for our address, because check this, he wanted to post a picture that he took of us. A little weird, but thoughtful. Nah, I'm kidding. So, after our little magical encounter, we continue our journey, high up the mountains this time, to a national park known for its sky-touching cherry blossom trees. There were thousands of them. We ride through the falling petals of these cherry blossoms one curve at a time until we get to the very top. What we wanted was a place to park so we could eat our snacks that we picked up along the way, a little picnic. Our parking was proving to be a right ball ache even for us bikers. It seemed to be nowhere to park, until we find a huge private car park, and on the far end was this little hut. It just seemed perfect. We park up and take a little walk in the area. We don't go very far on the account of all the gear that we have on. And not long after we meet Akira-san. Akira-san was from the Osaka area, motorcycle touring, with a bloody neck support on. From a crash, believe it or not, he got a couple of weeks ago. He invited him over for some snacks in our little hut, and pretty soon we were sharing stories. Akira-san is also travelling in the same direction as us towards Wakayama, so we decided to ride together until our roads split. 3 of us riding down the mountains and out into the open country during the golden hour was spectacular. It started off with winding, tight roads, which then opened up to a tall free stretch of highway. The point comes where we have to say farewell to Akira-san. So we pull over into the next rest stop and say our goodbyes.
Thank you. またお願いします。あちらこそ。Thank you. あちゃんもありがとう。またで。ありがとう。また。
With around an hour to go, we continue our journey to the Golden Line. We arrive at the hotel and ask for bike parking. To our surprise, they lock both bikes up inside the building. A first. The hotel was fairly basic, a typical small business type hotel, but the location was fantastic, right opposite the castle. Checked in, sorted and changed, we head on over out on the hunt for some food. And what do you know, we walk right into a cherry blossom festival being held in the castle grounds. We decided that would be our dinner for the evening, and so we find a good stall to get some food from, sit under the cherry blossom and eat our food. We wake up around 5:30 while the sun is still rising over Wakayama Castle. That snooze button is really tempting, but giving in usually means we find the mornings wasted and the days just flying by. We make our way down to the lobby to check out, get our bikes released from the lockup, and then head over to the ferry terminal, which was a 10-minute ride away. There was a bit of a rush in the morning as we just made the departure time. Arriving at the terminal, we pay for our tickets and then are guided to the loading dock across the road. It costs us around 4,000 yen for each bike and passenger, mine being slightly more expensive because of the engine size. The journey would take an hour and a half. If we were still a little drowsy from the early start this morning, that strong wind and the smell of the sea certainly changed that. We were wide awake. We'd taken the views and enjoyed the ride, which was over before we knew it. This is Shikoku. Gorgeous landscape, perfectly tarmac roads, rivers and mountains. Let's not forget the delicious Udon noodles, my favourite place in the whole of Japan. The weather was slightly overcast with the sun peeking here and there. The journey took most of the day, stopping here and there to take in Shikoku's beautiful scenery. And having landed on the far east coast of the island, we ride west and head towards a place called Miyoshi. It's one of the most famous places in the island, and this is also where our accommodation is for the night. Our first meal of the day? Of course, udon. Udon refers to a dish with thick white noodles. It's eaten all over Japan, but here in the Kagawa prefecture, Shikoku, it is said to be the best. Now, considering I had no idea that there were more than one type of noodles here in Japan, I've come a considerable long way. So in the true Japanese style, we visit not one, but two restaurants on the same street. Tabekurabe, which basically means eat and compare. I decide the second place is my favorite. I get a bowl of udon topped with fried tempura. Basically, fried vegetables on top of the udon. It's good, real good. So, with a stomach full of noodles and a little food coma, we jump back on the bikes to continue our journey. Only this time we make a conscious effort to take it easy. Our concentration had definitely taken a hit. Before checking into our accommodation, we take a little ride to some iconic places in Miyoshi. First we maneuver the cliff roads and ride to the statue of the peeing boy. No trip to Shikoku is complete without the blessing of this statue. A little further from the statue is the famous ancient vine bridge, an 800-year-old vine bridge, also called Kazurabashi. Now you can either pay 500 yen to walk across the bridge or just admire it from the distance like we did. Unless we're taking off our gear, we're keeping walking to a minimum. After our little pit stops in the area, we finally make our way to our special accommodation for the night. Wait for it, it's an abandoned elementary school situated high above in the mountains of Iya Valley. The place looked uniquely interesting when I booked it, and besides, I wanted something different from the usual quick stop mainstream hotels we've been staying in. They got boring real quick. I tried to sell this place to Ai before coming, and although supportive, I can't say her reaction was overly enthusiastic like mine was. In all honesty, I'm not sure what she expected, and truth be told, neither did I. The room we stay in is situated on the second floor. There are no beds, only communal sleeping bags, which probably had a bit of history to them that we didn't want to find out. The school is converted into a small hostel and a sort of boutique coffee shop where coffee beans are actually roasted on site. After settling in, we went downstairs to the coffee shop. The place is home to Yohei, or Yo-chan as he likes to be called, who lives on site all by himself. Yo-chan manages the coffee shop and the hostel, and as we would later find out, his home studio. Yo-chan is a musician. He spends his free time with his buddies recording music in his home/school studio. Me being a coffee lover that I am, I was in for a real evening. We spent the night talking, drinking the finest of coffee and eating freshly ground cocoa beans and chocolate cake. Finishing the night with a glass of grape juice or two, we follow Yuhei-chan up to his studio for a small tour. His studio is located next to his room on the second floor, in the ex-principal's office. and then into those sleeping bags. For some reason they seem a little more tolerable now. Oyasumi. Crisp mountain air and coffee. What better way to start the morning? Going to sleep in the mountains is nice, but waking up there is one of life's greatest pleasures. We brush our teeth and settle down for a nice easy morning coffee with a view. Coffee and mountains. It was now time to leave this place and Shikoku altogether. This place definitely made it up on top of the list of most memorable experiences. It was different. Next, we make our way to another udon noodle shop recommended to us by Yo-chan the night before. It had to be good. The weather is a lot clearer this morning. We take it nice and easy, stopping to admire the last of Shikoku's views. After the noodle shop, we plan on riding north to a city called Takamatsu. It's at Takamatsu where we will cross over on a ferry back to Hyogo. But the only thing is, there's no direct ferry there. We have to stop in an island called Shodoshima, which is halfway. And then from there, transfer onto a different ferry. A little bollock, but at least it gives us a little chance to explore the island a little. We arrive at the noodle shop and finish off our third and final bowl of udon noodles on the island. The place didn't disappoint, but coming from someone who doesn't eat breakfast, it was a little heavy in the morning. We took the ride nice and easy. Until that is, we realised we were cutting the time short, and so we had to twist the roads a little bit. So the last roads were cut up with all the R1 and the Ninja had to offer us. I had to play catch up a little bit, but that's okay. The bikes do not disappoint, and we make it on time. In fact, we're half an hour before departure. In all fairness, this is more to do with me getting the departure time wrong more than anything. We board the ferry to Shogoshima, the journey taking a little less than 1 hour. Shogoshima is the second largest island in the Seto Inland Sea. The name literally means small bean island, and it technically refers to the Azuki bean, but today would be more fittingly referred to the soybean or olive, as the island has traditionally been a producer of soy sauce and now is even better known for its olive plantations. It attracts many visitors with its Mediterranean atmosphere, and it's quite underrated, in all honesty. It's paradise. Anyway, we explore the island, taking it nice and easy. We go the long way around to our transfer ferry port, purely because, well, we have 3 hours to kill and we want to enjoy the island. So, we set off finding our perfect place to catch the sunset. Having found our spot, we sit back, drawing our spring tour to a close, reflecting back on our trip, the places we visited, and the people we met.